everyone, welcome to Messages channel and happy Halloween! And since it is Halloween episode, I'm gonna show you how to paint a pumpkin. To start, I'm just gonna quickly paint on background for the pumpkin, and I want this to be in a barn, so the main color is just gonna be brown and a little bit of yellow. So nothing fancy, I'm just use a texture brush here to quickly put on the background. And I wanted to add a light source from the top right of the painting. Maybe it's like a window that the sun is shining through, because any painting is just better with a good light source. The bottom of the painting here, I'm just gonna put down some texture brushes. They look kind of like leaves, is all over the place. So next I'm gonna paint the pumpkin, and for the pumpkin I'm gonna use this ink brush. It's nothing fancy really, just very basic brush. It looks like this on a plain canvas. And to draw the pumpkin, I'm gonna choose orange color, and I'm gonna draw two squiggly lines like this. 1, 2, 3. And then to the bottom, you do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, curve like that. And then you're gonna connect these two curves to two squiggly lines together, like so. And if you have a shaky hand like me, you couldn't get it right in the first try, that's okay. Just undo it and do it again, or just paint over it like what I'm doing here. Just try to get it nice and round, and once you're happy with the shape, just fill in the rest of the pumpkin. And make sure you are happy with the shape before you moving on to the next step, okay? So after that, I'm gonna make the pumpkin bigger, because right now you can see it's quite small. And the reason I'm doing that is because anything is just so much easier when you paint it small. And it's not only easier, it's also time saving. So that's what I did. I painted small, and then we'll just zoom it bigger. And then here I just touch up the pumpkin, make it look a little more round. Make sure you are happy with the shape before you moving on to the next step. So I also use the warp tool here to make it a little more round to the shape that I want. So for the next step, I paint these, I call guideline for the pumpkin. And the reason I call them guideline is because the rest of the painting is gonna follow these guidelines, and at the end you won't even really see these guidelines. So these guidelines can totally draw using the brush or the pencil tool, but I use the paint tool because it just helped me have more control over the brush. I can move it, adjust it the way I want. So I'm just gonna connect the top of the pumpkin to the bottom of the pumpkin like this. I'm gonna have 3 on the right and 2 on the left side. And then once you're done with these lines, you can just group them together to make it more organized. So after we have the guideline, now create a clipping mask for the pumpkin. So what this clipping mask do is it attached to the pumpkin. Now you can only paint inside of the pumpkin, and doesn't matter what you do, you cannot paint outside of it. It's like the beauty of digital art. So what I do is use the very same brush, but I adjust the opacity down to about 20%, and with a dark brown color start brushing along the guideline like this. And it's going to be darker and thicker on the bottom and the top of the pumpkin, and it gets lighter and thinner in the middle of the pumpkin. And you don't have to brush your stroke too hard on the iPad, just have to slightly build it up, okay? So next what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick a darker and a little more saturated orange to add onto the pumpkin. I'm gonna do the same thing what I did with the brown color. So basically just follow in the guideline and give these texture into the pumpkin, have it thicker and darker in the bottom and the top of the pumpkin, and in the middle it becomes thinner. So just slowly building it up like this, following the guideline. Okay, so this next step is very important. It's gonna be the difference between you, a professional pumpkin painter, and a rookie pumpkin painter, alright? So this next step, I'm gonna add a mixture of purple and blue color to the pumpkin. And this is gonna act as the shadow of the pumpkin. So put it where the shadow is. So because the light source we have is on the top right of the picture, so this shadow is gonna be darker on the bottom left side of the painting. And the same thing, I'm just gonna slowly building it up, following the guideline like this. And I'm gonna have more of these blue and purple color on the left side versus the right side. I'm also gonna add a darker orange color, and it's so dark it almost looks like brown. And just adding them on to the left side of the pumpkin. So a mixture of orange, blue, and purple. And keep in mind this color is a very dark color but have very low saturation. Don't go too high on the saturation because it's gonna look funny. So I'm gonna speed up the painting here, just slowly adding it on, just switching between dark blue, dark purple, and dark orange, adding on to the shadow of the pumpkin. And then once you are happy with that, next up we do the highlights. So for the highlight, I start with a lighter orange color, and then on top of that orange, I'm gonna pick a yellow color, very bright, very high saturated yellow on top of this highlight area. I'm just touching it up, adding darker color into the shadow just to make the contrast between shadow and highlight even more and make the painting even more pop. So after you're happy with that, next we're gonna add on to the stem of the pumpkin. So for the stem of the pumpkin, the very same principle apply here. So what I do is block in the shape first. Make sure you are happy with the shape however you want it. And then once you're happy with the shape, create a clip and mask layer for this stem. And then just add on a darker green for the shadow and a lighter green for the highlight. Okay, so now we are almost done. Almost, but not quite there yet. Stay with me until the end. We have this really cool trick. For the final touch of the painting, I'm gonna add on to this effect, and I think this effect is so easy to make, but it creates such a dramatic and cool effect for your painting. Okay, so what I want you to do is go to your basic brush and choose a brush that is small, very, very small, and choose the white color for this brush. And then you're just gonna add on these little dots, random little dots onto your painting, all right? And then once you have that, I want you to go back to your basic brush and choose another brush that is bigger, but this time with a very, very low opacity, about 15%. And then choose a very bright yellow color. And with this brush, you're gonna paint over these white dots that you painted previously. So just add that little yellow on. And what it does is it creates these almost like a fairy dust into your painting. It's make the painting look a little more magical in a way. I really like this effect. I use it a lot for a lot of my painting. Alright, so for the last touch, I'm just gonna add on to the shadow of the pumpkin. I use a dark blue and mixed with dark brown color to add the shadow for this pumpkin. And then we are gonna be finished. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the video and like my pumpkin. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.